And look at that, Jeremy. It's been a week. We're totally not recording all these. Yeah. Well, as I mentioned, I teased last week, Jeremy. If anyone thought it was sweaty before on the X-Files, they have not seen anything yet. I am Matthew. He is Jeremy.
We're fixing to get.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, just the drippage in this episode. This is eXhuming the X-Files, by the way. If this is your first time here and you're just hearing me talk very sensually about the sweatiness, the dripping, the sucking that is going to be that we're going to discuss during this episode. That's what you get here on eXhuming the X-Files. So hit that like and subscribe. We are talking episode 12 of season 4, Leonard Bets. And like I said, another episode of the X-Files, suckin and sweatin. Did you have any memories of this from your childhood?
Some. A little bit. I didn't remember basically the plot, but there were certain scenes I'm like, okay, yeah, I definitely remember that happening.
Yeah. I remember this one and the next episode, which we'll talk about next Friday, very well. So I don't know if I just happened to just miss that shitty episode that we watched last week when I was a kid because I had no memory of it. But this one and the one next week I have very vivid memories of for very, very different reasons. All right, Leonard Bets. Let's talk about let's get gooey, Jeremy. Let's get gooey.
So it starts out with an ambulance en route to the hospital. They got a 62-year-old trying to figure out what's going on with him. It looks like cardiac arrest, but it's not. Driver asks how he is, and he says he's up to his ass in alligators. Like, that's bad, I guess. But it's very important to remember such a silly thing that he says. EMT looks at him, decides to aspirate his chest, put that little hole in him in order to, make room for the lungs to fill up. And then the driver is suddenly weirded out that the EMT is super good at his job.
Yeah. He knows exactly what's wrong with the guy.
Well, I mean, you look at his chest and it's all like purple, like the purpleness of the cancer of his lungs is so advanced that it's showing through his chest bones. And it's like, okay, he's just looking at that. But Leonard is still helping him out anyway. Then suddenly the ambulance gets T-boned at an intersection. Blows up the back end. The driver steps out. She's all woozy and bloody. She finds Leonard completely decapitated. And I'm like, both this body and this head look pretty fucking fake in 480p. So I can't imagine what it looked like on your television.
It looks real bad. Real bad. The effects work do not hold up.
Well, I mean, the rest of them from here on out looked okay in 480p. I liked it, but these initial ones, like every time they reuse this particular head prosthetic, it's like, man, they did some, Dead Lantern level head prosthetics.
Well, there's a moment that's really funny in this, is when Scully's in the morgue and you see the decapitated head there. It's kind of like a wider shot and you can tell how fake it is, but then they cut to like a close-up and it's the actor's head and you're just like, oh man, they didn't even try to make any of that stuff match.
They didn't, but I liked that whole when they zoomed in on his real head. I love that scene.
Oh yeah, it's cool.
We cut to the mortuary where the dude's head is at, and he hears the mortuary assistant locks the body up inside of the refrigerated case, goes about his business, puts his Walkman in. For you kids that are listening to this that doesn't know what a Walkman is, there's a little radio with a tape cassette holder inside of it that ran out to a line out to some headphones you put on your head. They were very popular back then. They were very cool. And I just saw it. It was like, yeah, that's the yellow Walkman too. That's so dope. He takes it out because he hears this banging, and then he goes over. He finds. Did he find the head sitting on the floor?
Yes, I believe so.
And then somebody with a pair of giant pliers clubs him over the back of the head, and then we kind of see this potentially headless body shambling around.
Yeah. Very reanimated.
And then we get the title screen.
Yeah, I like this opening. I thought this was fun. I love that there was a little bit of gore and gruesomeness to it. Um, we have a pretty cool sort of car crash at the beginning. So the opening sequence, I'm like, all right, like we're getting some production value here. That's already more interesting to me than the last episode that I watched. So I was into it. This opening
So
scene.
you
How about
had a
you?
little bit of Stockholm syndrome. You're like your captors, make it a little bit nicer than just terrible, and you're thinking that they love you. I
Yeah,
get
I'm okay. I'm all right with it. I'm all
it.
right with it.
We find out right after the title screen that Leonard was 34 years old. Leonard was not 34 years old. Leonard was like 45, maybe 50. He was not 34.
I mean,
We
some
find out
people
that the
go
mortuary.
bald really young, Jeremy.
Poor people.
I'm gonna look
I,
up to see how old this actor was when he made this episode, by the
all right, fine. Prove me wrong. Thankfully, we find out that this poor mortuary assistant was only knocked out cold and stripped naked for his clothing instead of actually killed. Um, Scully immediately doesn't know why they're there and blames the entire thing on organ harvesters.
way.
They find pictures of the person that had stood up and escaped, and conveniently where the head should be, it was fuzzed out. Like, okay, there takes some heavy suspension of disbelief
Yeah,
here to just believe that this headless corpse was shambling about. And they actually explain it away later on in the stupidest way possible, but okay.
that
Um,
actor's 35 when he filmed this, by the way.
well,
so, so I hope you feel bad. You need to formally apologize to this poor actor.
fuck you, Leonard. So Scully is like, you know what? Not only is this organ harvesters, I can tell you right now where this head is located at. And they go to some internal, like, medical dumpster inside of the hospital that's somewhere in the basement.
I love this
And
scene.
they
It's
put on,
so funny.
it's so fucking gross. They put on, like, these gloves that go up to their shoulders, and they just start going.
Well,
All these organs are packaged up.
well,
They're
no way.
covered in KY jelly.
Well, hold on, hold on. The best part of this is what happens right before. So Scully's in there, like digging around in all these body parts, and the look on David Duchovny's face is he's completely grossed out. And then she's just like completely seriously, she's like, I'm gonna need you to help me because your arms are longer than mine. And it just cuts this close up of David Duchovny, and you could tell he doesn't want to do this even as an actor. Like he does not want to get down into all of this stuff. And then it cuts to like both of them in there. And if you look at David Duchovny's face the whole time, it looks like he's gonna throw up. Like he just has this look on his face like this is the nastiest shit I've ever had to do for the show. And Gillian Anderson is playing it completely straight. Like Scully does not even notice Mulder's completely uncomfortable thing. And then it's like, oh, there's his head. And it's so goopy and
Yeah,
gooey.
and they dig it out. That was right after I saw that part. That's when I sent you that message in Discord telling you that you're like, I'm watching Leonard Betts, and I know you're loving it because you're nasty,
And I did love it. It was great.
man. The body horror ones just do they speak to you? They
I
really
think
do.
they do. I think they do. I'm a big fan of body horror. And yeah, this was right up there.
So they dig out this guy's rubber head. It looks better with the goo on it instead
Yeah.
of just sitting outside, at least in 480p. Um, they they just do immediately do an autopsy on the head, and for some reason I wrote down that it weighs 10.9 pounds. Which not only do you look like shit, Leonard, your head is big as fuck. And so just about as she's going to do a head incision is the first time since the dumpster that I've really appreciated the special effects in the episode, because she's about to go cut on his head, and then Leonard's mouth opens and his eyes open, and then it closes. It's
Yeah.
not like he looks around and he starts like talking or anything like that. It's freaky how they
Yeah.
pulled it off.
Yeah. It looks real good.
Um, Mulder goes to Leonard's apartment because he immediately suspects that Leonard is still alive. Like he knows that his body is just shambling around right now. Though why he hasn't cited an X file or voodoo zombies or anything. He just knows.
Yeah.
And he breaks in, or no, he gets the super to let him into the apartment and goes into the bathroom and just sees what looks like somebody who had a very terrible hemorrhoid problem. There's blood on the toilet seat. There's blood on the floor. There's blood on the windowsill,
Yeah.
which is open. And the tub is full of like slimy brown stuff. And that reminds me of a story. Have I
Oh.
told you the story about why I don't go to Thanksgiving at my mom's house anymore?
No.
Do you want to hear a really long story I've told dozens of times?
I mean, do I need to cut it out of the episode, or do you want to just?
No, I could share
Okay.
this one with the world. So
Yeah. Go ahead.
I used to go over because since we were a kid, mom was kind of a black sheep of the family, so we had to do our own thing when or she got divorced in a Roman Catholic family. That's just kind of a no-no. So we had to do all of our family meals or holidays by ourselves. And she was a big family person. She came from a very large family. So we just started adopting people, truckers, bikers, people that were friends that mom would meet in her life. And they didn't have anywhere else to go. They didn't have family. So they would just descend upon our house, particularly at Thanksgiving, and we would have these huge meals. I know the most people I've ever served was somewhere in the 60s.
Wow.
One day we went through 2 geese, 4 pheasant, and 4 turkeys. One in the oven, 3 deep fat fried. Like we serve people. So I would have to wake up at like 3 2 sometimes 2:30 in the morning. We'd have to start like the kolaches, the pies, the rolls, and then after that's done you have to get into the proper cooking so that everything could be done by noon, 1 or so, when everybody would get fed. And so that was just a thing that me and my mom did, and then Angel kind of, or my younger sister, signed on to it, and we all kind of took part in that. But then I joined the army, went to Germany for a few years, and got away from it. Well, I came back from the army, and I missed that. I wasn't home over Thanksgivings most of the time, and I just kind of wanted to participate in that. So I was staying the night, uh, the previous night before Thanksgiving, over at my mom's place. We did everything that we needed to do, um, and you should know that one of these friends is a boyfriend that my mom had when she was 16 years old. A fella named Leroy. He is such a crazed alcoholic that he needs to have a 6 pack before he gets to work. Like he has a 6 pack by 7 a.m. or he's just shaking like a leaf on a tree. The dude can barely speak. He's really, really nice. He's just really gruff, really rough around the edges human being. And he drove all the way down from somewhere in northern Nebraska. Needed a place to stay that night, so he stayed at my mom's place on the couch outside, and I stayed in the bedroom. Well, the next morning, it was probably, or the day after Thanksgiving, it's 5 a.m. My mom basically kicks down the bedroom door. She's pissed. She's like, "You're gonna have to clean it up," and she just walks away. What?
Oh no.
Oh, it gets so much worse, but
Oh no.
this is the tip of the iceberg. At some point throughout the night, or I walked over to the bathroom. It was right next to the kitchen, and at some point during the night, this drunk asshole sat down on the toilet, must have lost contact with gravity because you know those 2 little pins that hold the toilet seat to the toilet itself?
Hmm.
One of them broke, so the whole toilet seat was off and hanging over the edge by that of the toilet by that one pin. There was shit over the edge of the bowl and down the side of the bowl. And because it wasn't her personal bathroom and she wasn't dealing with, oh, by the way, Leroy gone. This dude just got in his fucking vehicle whenever he did this shit and just left. So I cleaned it up. But what I was there's still shit in the bowl. It didn't get flushed or anything. But what I was very careful to look for, because I was just curious. By the end, I was feeling sick and shit. But there was not a single square of used toilet paper in the bowl. There wasn't a single square used in the trash can next to the bowl. And on the way out of that, or you go out of the bathroom, through the kitchen, through the back porch, our main garbage can was there. I opened it up. Was there any used toilet paper in there? No. No, there fucking wasn't. So, gross. 1 year. The very next year. This is when we had that huge blow up one. Like 60 people. I was fucking exhausted by the time that, we had got everybody fed. But it was one of the first years that all of the siblings like came back together. So I got to see all of my younger brothers. Mom was there. Leroy was there, of course. Must have felt guilty about it because he volunteered himself for the next job. I'm sitting in the garage. Me, my brothers, we just smoked a bunch of pot out in our mom's barn. So I was a lightweight. I couldn't smoke a whole lot. So I was just stoned out of my gourd, relaxed. I finally, got to settle down from all of that cooking. And I was just going to get stoned, get the munchies, go eat a bunch of food. So I'm sitting in the garage where we have all of these picnic tables, a wood-burning stove going, and I'm just relaxing. My brothers went into town to go get cigarettes. Leroy busts into the garage. He is dripping sweat like a fucking episode of X-Files. Just soaked from his forehead down to the ring around his shirt. Both of his armpits are just soaked over the through. He looks at me and he's like, Jeremy, where's your brothers at? And I'm like, they just ran into town. He's like, your mom needs you. Now you got to understand, my mom does not need another human being for a fucking thing. She is incredibly independent. She's incredibly reliable. She's organized. She gets shit done. And days like Thanksgiving, when she's in charge, like it's just marching orders. Everybody that's involved executes. She does not need help. If she does, something awful has happened. So once he said that, like I snap out of the stoneness, like, okay, like somebody's bleeding, somebody's dying, something is happening that I have to get involved with that my mom can't handle. So I'm following this soaked, sweaty dude up the porch, right next to the garbage can that he didn't put the shit paper in. I walk into the kitchen. Mom is got her back turned to one of the counters, and both of her female best friends are talking her down from the edge. But we don't stop there. We go right on past them and into the bathroom.
Oh, no.
He shuts the door. There's the toilet seat. It is filled almost all the way to the top with what looks like chocolate yoo-hoo. You can't see through this fucking toilet water. It's so... And then he reaches into the toilet, grabs, those 25-foot toilet snakes, the big crank on them that you shove down in there. It was in the toilet water, buried in there. I couldn't see it. He plops it into my fucking hands and says, one of the little girls must have flushed a rag, and a bunch of people shit on top of it. Your mom's super pissed, so we got to get this unclogged, and it's got a kink in the hose. So the reason he's covered in water is he's reaching into this bowl and shoving his arm down the toilet hole to shove the toilet snake first there, and then he's splashing all over himself. There's all my mom's, the oh shit towels are all around the edges of this fucking toilet bowl. And I'm like I look at this fucking poop covered toilet snake in my hand, and I start breathing through my mouth. I take a big gulp because I almost threw fucking up, and then I just, I helped him out. We got it unclogged, and then like I wasn't even fucking hungry anymore. I wasn't stoned. I didn't care about Thanksgiving. It was like, I'm tired of fucking coming to Thanksgiving and dealing with other people's shit. I was so mad. So it comes the next year. I didn't go back, and I didn't tell anybody why I didn't go back. Comes the next year, I don't go back to Thanksgiving. The third year, my mom finally reaches out and says, why don't you come back to Thanksgiving? And I told her that story exactly like I just told it to you. She doesn't believe me. She's like, Mom, I was fucking there. But I made her make a promise. Like, I will come back to Thanksgiving, but you have to make me a promise. And she doesn't make a promise. Like, her word is her bond, but she won't make a promise lightly. And I made her promise that if there is a shitastrophe, I don't have to fucking deal with it. Like, sorry, I'm gone, you know? And I made her promise that. And sure enough, I went back. But so we get to this episode, and we're in this dude's bathroom, and it is his tub is full of chocolate yoo-hoo, and I immediately went back to that. I got a snake in my hand, and like Mulder starts like touching it, and I was like, oh no!
Hit that like and subscribe, kids.
Oh, God.
Oh my God.
Dude. Anyway, this tub was so gross. It was full up to the edges. He couldn't see through it. He kind of stirs around in it a little bit. He picks up a bottle because it's iodine. Somehow he gets he has only like 4 bottles, but it fills an entire tub full of iodine. So okay, whatever. He leaves. Scully can't get a CAT scan of the head because, similar to the video we were talking about earlier, that there's some sort of radiation problem that they never quite attribute to the head. They just say that there's a radiation problem that prevents the head from being scanned and filmed on film.
Yeah.
So again, super convenient.
Wait, real quick. Back up to the poop-filled bathtub. Doesn't he comes out? We see him like rise out of that when Mulder leaves, right?
Yeah.
So
because as Mulder's leaving, he calls Scully about it.
Yeah, Leroy coming out of that water is how I envision that.
Leroy Betts comes like bubbling out of this tub, looking like he's just drank a 6-pack, had a good time.
It is pretty gross. It's pretty nasty.
Oh man, I'm exhausted. Okay, so we go back and they need to talk, or Mulder needs to talk to the EMT, who is this girl's partner who got into Leroy's partner who got into the car accident. And I wrote here that the EMT that was driving was already back at work with a clear concussion. Because even back in the 90s and being an employee of a hospital, time off for medical care is still out of reach. He asked if he ever noticed anything odd about Leonard. Leonard was never sick, never got injured on the job. Cuts back to Scully dipping Leonard's gooey head in epoxy resin. And the only reason they did that was because somebody looked at the gooey head in the dumpster. It's like, we got to do that again.
Yeah.
To get a close-up of it this time. The only reason.
Looks awesome.
And then I wrote again, Matt, you must be loving this gross-ass episode.
I was. Spoiler, I love this episode. It's so good.
They take a slice of Leonard's, like they slice Leonard's head vertically in order to take a slice for no reason that I could see. They noticed that all of the cells.
They're trying to like take a picture of it. That's how they determine that he's like. His whole head is cancerous.
Well, they say that while it's still in epoxy mode, like every cell in his brain and head is affected by cancer. And they're like, this guy shouldn't even be alive, but he is somehow. So they take a slice to go. Like, let's grab a slice to go, is I believe what Mulder says.
Yeah.
And they cut back to the EMT partner gal. She hears somebody else say somebody is up to their ass in alligators and automatically assumes it's Leonard at some other like ambulance job already. Yeah. We cut back into where they're at with the slice. They're visiting Dr. Burks. Now, we met Dr. Burks, I believe, in season 1. Mm-hmm. He had that little pooch of hair on the half of the top of his head.
Yeah, and you're like, shave it.
Bro. It didn't look good then. It still doesn't look good 4 years later. Shave the fucking bald spot. Die. But we have arguably, and not even really arguably, the dumbest scene in the entire episode, because they're there because Dr. Burks is going to take some sort of coronal photograph of this head
Yeah.
in order to take a picture of this dude's aura. And they do the whole scene, they get a picture, they don't really talk about it a whole lot outside of hippy dippy aura seeing shit. And then like Scully's like walking out, it's like, I don't know what this has to do with anything. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm right there with you.
Well,
Uh
Mulder, this whole episode, Mulder is like, look, the guy's alive. He's got no head. There's a body running around with no head or something. Like, and Scully, this whole episode is like, that is not possible, Mulder. He's like, look, you looked at the head. The eyes open, mouth opened. How do you explain that? I can't. So I think he's trying to get that sort of coronal discharge thing to show that there's like a body that was attached or something. I don't know. I can't put my head into Mulder's head right now.
I thought that maybe they would just that you would get the aura of still living tissue. I thought was what they were going to go for, and then they ended up just kind of going for nothing. So I didn't understand it, but thankfully we get away from Dr. Burke's ugly ass head. Um, what is it?
Guy.
Iodine apparently regenerates salamanders, so Mulder immediately props this up as this is how Leonard grew his head back.
Yep.
Yep. They find out for some reason that Leonard has an alter ego named Albert Tanner, has a relative that lives where they're or in the city they're at. They go to visit her and says, "No, my son died a long time ago." The EMT driver realizes that, or chases Leonard down, chases him into a bush, and then Leonard's like, "Oh, come here, buddy," and hugs her, and then just kills her.
Well, he
Ends up getting
apologizes first.
he does,
He's like, I'm
which
sorry I
makes
have
it
to kill
okay
you.
to his mom later because yeah, a mall cop ends up chasing him away from the body, tackles him to the ground, and then cuffs him to his own car and walks away to go, and then goes back to make sure that the girl is okay. So Leonard, of course, just tears off his own thumb in order to get away from the cops. Which
Yep.
okay, gross, but
And you get a lot of
Mul-
nice close-up shots of this guy's face,
go
super
ahead.
fucking sweaty. There's a sequence later on when the guy's like naked and he's just like shaking uncontrollably, and it's just the sweat is pouring down this guy's entire body.
Oh. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, they have to go for it because it's that episode. So they're doing the special effects. Then once they get the makeup in place and stuff like that, they have to just douse him in water, which is the X-Files way. Then they have. I mean, I have the rest of these notes, but I don't really understand what was up with the two burned bodies that they find after this. Because they figure out that
So
Leonard needs cancer as snacks, which ew.
yeah. Yeah.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, so basically, because there's a sequence in a bar, right, where he's following this bar patron who's got like lung cancer or something like that, and there's like a explosion, like he's, I'm trying to remember, like Mulder and Scully fire like two
They
shots
shot
at
his
his,
car. Like,
and it just explodes like movie style. And so then there's like he's got like these duplicate bodies of himself, and Mulder is essentially like the guy's still alive, Scully. He's running around. And Scully's like, no, he's dead. He's like, no, no, no. These two bodies are the same person. He's still out there somewhere. And I think like maybe Leonard Betts was trying to have himself blown up to try to like make them think he's dead because he doesn't want to get caught. His whole thing is he does not want to get caught with all of this. So I think that's what the whole burned body parts or burned bodies were, was to kind of throw Mulder and Scully off and make them think he's actually dead.
I didn't get it. Like, I thought maybe that he had died from being burned up twice, but some part of him like regenerated into a whole ass dude by eating somebody else's cancer.
I mean,
but anyway, we get kind of around to the end. They're chasing him all over town. His mom sacrifices herself so that he can eat her cancer. When you know what? Who wrote this episode? Somebody that was listening to Heart Shaped Box.
Yeah. Kurt Cobain wrote this episode.
Yeah. I'm gonna eat her cancer when it turns black because he eats his mom's cancer, and then he attacks Scully. And Scully, for the first time, like really just genuinely kicks somebody's ass in the back of an ambulance, like actual karate stuff. Beats his ass for a little bit, and then puts a defibrillator to his head and cooks his brain, which is pretty good. But
he flies out the back of that ambulance.
He does. But we get probably the only really genuinely important thing that happened in this episode in order to further the overarching plot. He was attacking her because he needed something from her, is all he said, but it's heavily implied that he was going to cut her open in order to eat Scully's cancer. Then, everybody kind of goes home. Scully wakes up coughing with a nosebleed in the middle of the night and suspects that she has the cancer now. And then it's the end.
Yeah, what'd you think?
I liked it. I mean, the episode was definitely propped up by the special effects and the gross stuff. Everything else that happened outside of that was kind of, forgettable, and Scully beating his ass in the back of that instead of getting her ass kicked for once. Like, he had a scalpel, he had her dead to rights, and she whooped his ass in the back of that ambulance. So that felt good.
She had like karate moves.
Right.
I think she like does like a high kick to his head at one point in time.
Spinning back kick? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucked him up good.
Yeah. It's very cool. I love this episode. There's something about the monsters that sweat and suck that I just can't get enough of them. I thought that I remember when I saw this as a kid, I remember being very shocked that Scully has cancer potentially. Because I remember when I watched this as a young man, when Leonard says that, he's like, "You've got something I want," because he said that to the other people throughout the episode that had cancer, that he was sort of, I guess, sucking the cancer out, whatever he does. I was like, "Oh shit." And then, at the very end when her nose is bleeding and whatnot, I was like, oh, well, how is Scully going to get out of this one, right? Because nobody wants cancer. Like, that's probably one of the most terrifying things that anyone could possibly get, is being diagnosed with cancer. But yeah, I thought I love the villain in this monster sort of dude. I like the idea that he is just this giant, I guess, walking cancer that needs to eat other cancer. And I was thinking to myself, like, man, this guy is trying to be like an EMT and trying to help people. He could probably really do some good, if he just walked over. Oh, we forgot to mention there's a it looks horrible now. It looks terrible. It's almost like a CG thing, but there's this thing where he kind of like sheds a skin or something and his head pops out through like the mouth of another version of his stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. As a kid, I was like, that looks fucking great. Now it doesn't hold up quite as well. I don't know what it looked like
It
in
look
480p, but
it looked great in 480p, by the way.
okay,
I
not so
I'm glad
much
I was able to
in high
enjoy
def.
that in a way that you were not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there's cool stuff in here. This was and I don't know if I just really like this because I was just coming off the last episode where there was literally nothing that I liked at all. And so I was just really gravitating like, okay, we're back into a cool monster episode. But yeah, I really, really liked this episode. Big thumbs up on Leonard Betts for me. So let's talk about some uh, what do we call these facts? Fun facts taken from the interwebs, primarily Wikipedia. Um, According to co-writer Frank Spotnitz, the script for Leonard Betts was not particularly well loved at the time, but it became one of his favorite monster shows. Originally, the episode Never Again was supposed to air before this episode, but as Vince Gilligan explained, series creator Chris Carter really wanted to grab viewers who had never seen us before. And we knew the best way to do that would be with a really creepy standalone monster story because this episode was the one that aired directly after the Super Bowl that year that it came out, 96 or 97. Um, so, thus, the air date Leonard Betts was flipped with Never Again in order to ensure that the former episode, which featured the show's two stars in their traditional roles, aired after the Super Bowl. The episode is the first to confirm Agent Scully's cancer. The idea of giving the character cancer had been floated by Spotnitz during the show's third season, but for whatever reason, the concept remained on the back burner until storylines for the fourth season were being developed. Reportedly, when Chris Carter informed Gillian Anderson that her character would be diagnosed with cancer, she was delighted, as it presented her with an artistic challenge and enabled her to portray her character in a new manner. And that's actually kind of interesting. It seems like as we go through these, and I, learn little pieces of information about all these, it's Gillian Anderson that is always super excited about a different change in her sort of character, or when they write her to do something that's not the standard thing. But I never hear David Duchovny really wanting that or desiring that. So I don't know if that's just a difference between their acting styles, wherever where it's Gillian Anderson is really into like, I love this character. I want to like expand. I want to stretch this character into places I haven't been. Where it seems like David Duchovny is mostly maybe he's like, I don't got the range, so I'm fine with just being kind of like the cool sunflower eating um, alien believing dude. I don't know. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like Gillian Anderson just it feels like a much more in tuned actor than David Duchovny?
In general, yes. She's expressive when she needs to be emotional. She's capable of being without it being forced or over. But she's serious. She's slutty sometimes. She has a lot of qualities that make her acting in every episode, this and prior to it, much much better than what David Duchovny has brought to the table. I can't think of a single episode where Mulder killed it so hard he put Gillian Anderson to shame.
Fair. However, Anderson was only informed of the plot point of her cancer after she filmed Never Again, which was produced before Leonard Betts but aired after it. Consequently, Anderson has said that had she known the twist ending of this episode while filming Never Again, she would have played that part differently. Regardless, John Chabon considers Leonard Betts to be a great X Files story and very important because it established the story arc featuring Scully's cancer. Now, the show's design staff made extensive use of makeup to give actor Paul McCrane the right look. Applying all the makeup reportedly took several hours. McCrane's eyes were also augmented with specially made contact lenses. Many of McCrane's scenes were physically exerting, such as the autopsy scene, which required McCrane to stick his head through a discreet hole in the set's mock dissection table. McCrane then held still, thereby giving the illusion that his head was severed and resting on the table. The scene in the bathtub required McCrane to spend several long minutes underwater, motionless in full makeup. The shot in which a new Betts emerges from the old one's mouth was created by Toby Lindala. Lindala intercut shots of McCrane with shots of a specially designed puppet that had a full functioning mouth and eyes. Laverne Basham and Lindala were later both nominated for an Emmy for Outstanding Makeup in a Series for their roles in this episode. Now, many critics praised the tenacity of the writers for airing an episode featuring such a creepy character after the Super Bowl. Writing for Den of Geek, John Moore listed Betts as one of the top 10 X-Files baddies, writing that Fox had the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl happens on a Sunday. Fox decides to run the show in the prime slot after the big game. So did they soft pedal things in order to grab a wider audience? No. Instead, they decided to feature a cancer-eating living tumor that could regrow his own limbs at will. That's why I love the X-Files, unquote. And because it aired right after the Super Bowl, this is the highest rated episode in the show's original 9-season run, with an audience of 29.1 million people watched. The sweat, the sucking, the regenerating. Very cool. Any final thoughts on Leonard Betts?
I mean, the cream of the crop right here. The little white speck on top of the pile of chicken shit that is season 4 of the X-Files thus far. Definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, very, very cool. So next week we're going to be talking about Never Again. But yeah, hit that like and subscribe. I'm sure Jeremy will have more crazy poop stories over time that we can all enjoy together. And thanks for listening to another episode, and we'll be back next Friday here on Outpost Unknown, eXhuming the X-Files. See you then.